I was 33 when I realized my entire future had been stolen by the one person I never imagined would betray me, my own mother. My name is Emily Carter, and I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado, believing my grandmother, Margaret Carter, had spent years building a college fund that would one day help me finish law school without drowning in debt. Every birthday, she would smile, hand me a handwritten card, and whisper, "Your future matters more than anything." After she passed away, my mom, Karen, assured me the account was safe and that Grandma had asked her to manage it until I was ready to use it. I trusted her because that's what daughters do. But everything changed the morning I received an email from my university's financial office saying my tuition payment had been declined due to insufficient funds. I thought it had to be a banking error until I logged into the account and saw the balance, $0. My hands shook as I drove straight to my mother's house, expecting panic or confusion. But instead, she calmly poured herself coffee, looked me in the eye, and quietly said, "We borrowed it. We were going to put it back before you noticed." Before I could even process those words, I spotted an envelope on her kitchen counter from a luxury RV dealership addressed to her, and in that exact moment, I realized the missing money wasn't the biggest secret she had been hiding. I couldn't stop staring at that envelope. My mother quickly slid it into a drawer and smiled as if nothing had happened. But I had already read enough to know it was a purchase agreement for a brand new luxury RV worth nearly $180,000. She claimed the dealership had made a mistake, yet the receipt showed a down payment made just 3 weeks earlier, the exact week my tuition was supposed to be paid. I left without saying another word, but instead of driving home, I went straight to Chase Bank, hoping someone could explain where Grandma's savings had gone. The manager couldn't discuss the account because my mother had been listed as the trustee after Grandma's death, but one sentence changed everything. He quietly asked, "Didn't your grandmother ever tell you about the second account?" My heart nearly stopped. Second account? I had never heard those words before. That afternoon, I searched through the boxes Grandma had left in my garage and found an old Christmas card with a tiny handwritten note inside. "If Karen ever tells you the money is gone, don't argue with her. Open the blue envelope in my safety deposit box." I froze. My grandmother had expected this to happen years before she died, and suddenly I realized she had been planning for my mother's betrayal long before I ever suspected it. The next morning, I drove to the downtown branch where my grandmother had always kept her safety deposit box. I expected to find old family photos or jewelry, but inside sat a sealed blue envelope with my name written across the front in Grandma's unmistakable handwriting. My pulse raced as I unfolded the letter. "Emily, if you're reading this, Karen has already taken what wasn't hers." Beneath the letter was a flash drive, copies of bank statements, and something I never expected, a notarized document removing my mother as trustee 6 months before Grandma passed away. Somehow, that paperwork had never been filed with the bank. My attorney, Michael Turner, immediately noticed something even more disturbing. The signature submitted by my mother after Grandma's funeral didn't match the verified signature on the notarized documents. He looked at me and quietly said, "Emily, this could be more than theft. This could be fraud." Before we could contact the authorities, another surprise hit. My cousin Olivia called in tears, admitting my mother had convinced several relatives that I had already spent the entire college fund years ago and was now trying to scam the family for more money. My own relatives believed I was the liar. Just as I thought things couldn't get worse, Michael received a call from the bank's internal fraud department. They had discovered a second transfer made from Grandma's account, one I had never seen before, and the money hadn't gone to the RV dealership at all. It had been wired to someone whose last name wasn't Carter, leaving me wondering whether my mother had been hiding an entirely different life all along. By the end of that week, the truth unraveled faster than any of us expected. The bank's fraud investigation confirmed that my grandmother's signature had been forged after her death, and the mysterious account receiving the money belonged to a man named Robert Hayes. Not a relative, but my mother's business partner from nearly 15 years earlier. What shocked me even more was discovering they had secretly been buying distressed vacation properties together while telling everyone they were struggling financially. My attorney immediately filed a civil fraud lawsuit, and within days, a judge froze every account connected to the missing college fund. My mother called me dozens of times, crying and insisting she had only borrowed the money because she planned to pay it back after selling one of the properties. But that lie collapsed during discovery when investigators uncovered emails showing she had been moving Grandma's money long before Grandma ever became ill. Then came the final twist. My grandmother hadn't just left me the college fund, she had also updated her will 6 months before her death, leaving me ownership of a small rental duplex in Boulder that nobody in the family knew existed. She had intentionally kept it secret because, in her own handwritten letter, she admitted she no longer trusted my mother with anything involving money. The judge ordered my mother to repay every dollar she had taken, plus interest and legal fees. And the court awarded me full ownership of the duplex after proving it had been purchased entirely with my grandmother's savings. As I walked out of the courthouse, I finally understood why Grandma had always said my future mattered more than anything. She hadn't just saved money for my education, she had spent her final years making sure that, no matter how deep the betrayal went, I would eventually have the truth, the justice, and the future she always believed I deserved.